Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, the market balanced within a range, but the buy side has been dominant and ES has taken out the previous day's high. Heading into the open, we have initial resistance at 59.75 to 61.75. A breakout above the zone would just confirm the overnight bullishness and bring the 65.75 to 67.75 area into play. Now that zone is still resistance until broken, but if we're going up on broad market strength and some pretty decent upside momentum, and if NASDAQ is actually pushing to a new high on the year, then we could be setting up for taking out the 65.75 to 67.75 zone for a move up into 74 to 76 and potentially even into 77.75 to 78.75 and 80 quarter to 82 quarter. In the event of a failure at the initial resistance zone, we can see a pullback towards the gap fill at 56.5, and then we have today's support zone at 52 to 54. Now ideally, if the market is still going to eventually break out to the upside, we want to see ES holding above the 52 to 54 area. So in the event of a pullback towards that zone, unless we're seeing broad market weakness and a clear-cut failure in the other markets or excess weakness on the day time frame, then 52 to 54 could provide good enough trade location to get positioned for a breakout beyond the initial resistance zone. In the event that ES fails to hold 52 to 54, we could see a pullback down towards 44.75 to 46.75. Now a break below 52 to 54 would shift the control from the overnight session from buyers to sellers. So we will have to be more cautious at 44.75 to 46.75, because if we're going down on broad market weakness and some decent downside momentum, then we may not get as big of a response at 44.75 to 46.75, because even though it marks the low from yesterday, yesterday was an inside day, so it's not as significant of a support area. So if we really take out today's initial support with some decent momentum, then although we can get a reaction at 44.75 to 46.75, it may not be enough to justify a trade. So that's something we'll have to determine in real time and see kind of how the market's approaching it and what the real-time context looks like. Below that, we have support at 39 to 41. That is still an area where responsive buyers can be active. It marks the low from Monday, which is also this week's low. So if you're exhausted into 39 to 41, then that's still a spot where we could see responsive buyers step into the market. But the primary focus this morning is going to be more so on the long side, and the only time that we will look for short setups is if we're seeing some signs of failure or if we're able to secure extremely good trade location. But given how bullish the overnight session has been, and given that the other world markets were also pretty strong, we don't want to get positioned on the short side at poor trade location. So either we are getting short because we're seeing some very clear-cut signs of broader weakness and the real-time price action is indicating a bigger failure at initial resistance zone, or we're seeing signs of lack of strength and we're still able to secure good trade location. But absent any clear-cut signs of a bigger failure, our focus will be more so on long setups as long as the market's holding above the 52 to 54 initial support zone. So those are the main ideas heading into the open. Let's see if the buy side can maintain the control that we've seen here in the overnight session, and we'll take it from there.